The Operation Recognition Veterans Diploma Project was launched this year to recognize veterans whose high school education was interrupted due to their military service or internment. These veterans were on track to graduate, but instead chose to serve our country to protect our freedoms. In service to our country, they made great sacrifices, including interrupting the completion of their educational pathway. It is with great pleasure that we recognize and honor these veterans by awarding them their high school diploma. Each veteran will share their story and encourage individuals to hold tight to their goals as they recognize the importance that education plays, as well as the importance of service to your country. It is never too late to earn your high school diploma or continue to reach your college and career goals. We are so proud of these graduates, so thankful for their sacrifices and service, and hold them up as true examples that when we persevere, we can accomplish anything. On behalf of the Monterey County Office of Education, congratulations, graduates. We're so proud of you.
Hey everybody, I'm Jimmy Panetta, your United States representative for our home on the Central Coast of California. Now, as a veteran and as a congressman, it is really my distinct honor that I get to congratulate you on your completion of the Veterans Diploma Project. Also, I want to say thank you, because doing things like this really is one of the best parts of this job. Now, what do we got here? We got 2 sailors, 2 soldiers, and a Marine whose service spans across 3 wars for our country, who attended 4 high schools in our community, and are now receiving your high school diploma. Well, the 5 of you represent really who we are as a nation, and let me tell you, your diploma is a symbol of our nation's obligation to people like you, our veterans. Congratulations for this incredible achievement, and thank you for your service, yes, to our country, but also to this community that we call home. Congratulations.
Welcome to Monterey County Office of Education's 2020 Operation Recognition. Congratulations to our diploma recipients. Your pursuit of this long-awaited high school diploma serves as testimony to all the younger members of your family of the importance of education. You are an inspiration to your family and to all of us. Our military veterans provided selfless service in defense of our nation. Operation Recognition is our humble way of paying tribute and acknowledging those who put their personal lives on hold to serve our country. In December of 2019, our County Board of Education unanimously modified our graduation policy to officially allow for Operation Recognition to honor individuals whose high school educations were interrupted due to circumstances of World War II, the Korean War, and the Vietnam War. During those different eras, thousands of young people left high school to serve in the United States Armed Forces, and when they returned home, many worked to support their families and became involved in building their communities. Many could not make the time to complete high school. Also during World War II, thousands of Japanese American citizens were forced to leave their homes to be interned in relocation camps at various locations in the United States. These citizens were deprived of the freedoms other Americans enjoyed. Still, many served in our armed forces. Some internees could not finish high school, yet they too led exemplary lives and contributed greatly to the American way of life. Now we honor them all and humbly bestow upon them a high school diploma. Congratulations to each of our veterans on this lifelong journey.
Hello, I'm State Senator Ana Caballero from the 12th Senate District. It is my honor and privilege to congratulate each of you as you receive your high school diploma through the Veterans Diploma Project. You are our local heroes who represent the soul and spirit of our country. It is now our duty and responsibility to honor you for your noble and courageous sacrifice to defer your education to fight for freedom and democracy around the world. It is with honor and admiration that I congratulate each of you. Your sacrifice and valor is admirable and courageous, and we thank and congratulate you on your achievements.
Milton John Moscatini. I was born in Soledad, California. I had one brother and a half-sister. I live in Salinas, California. I wanted to be a cowboy, but I never achieved that. I went to Gonzales Union High School. Well, I went in there taking farming, but after I got in, I wanted to take up sports. My friends, they were all older than me, they all joined. So I decided I lied about my age and I joined. I just turned 16, you gotta be 17 at least. So I went in at least a year before I should have. Well, I was kind of looking for somebody I knew. I never did find them, so I made a friend. And both of us were looking for the same thing, so we kind of grabbed each other. I took my basic training in Farragut, Idaho. I wasn't used to snow and wet weather. I didn't particularly like it. To go overseas, I went overseas. I was happy there. Every day was a work day, unless you was on liberty. Well, I got the good conduct, but I was in San Diego when I left the Navy because I was discharged. I had a choice of spending about 30, 40 days at home and rejoining, or just, going home right now. So I went home right now. Well, I worked for Mitchell Silliman, picking up sacks, and then I just about gave up on that one. I was about ready to join the service again when I looked over and I seen a guy climbing poles, and I said I'd like to do that. So I went to work for Pacific Gas and Electric Company. When the war was over, every job you went to apply for, they said, bring your high school diploma. So I never even went. But I didn't really miss too much because I was so happy with Pacific Gas and Electric. I fell off a pole and broke my legs, and then I couldn't climb no more. I couldn't dig it in like that, but I could still work. So I went to work for the Pacific Gas and Electric Gas Company, and that was fun. Oh, I'd love to have one. All these years I had to lie. I graduated. I never did graduate, see, but I always said I graduated. Well, I didn't know what else to say. I got kicked out or I quit. Either one of them was not good, because I did quit, but I couldn't very well say I quit and I went to fight for you. No, I couldn't say that. I just said I quit. That's it. Now I say I got my diploma. I'll be more proud of mine than the guys got them when they earned them. Okay, my children are Mark, Carrie, Paul, and Todd. And my grandchildren are John, Laura, and Noah. Yeah, I've been married 67, almost 68. I'm proud of fighting for my country, but I'm proud of raising my children to be good Americans. The first advice I would give you is to finish school. And when you get out of high school and you don't want to go to college, then you better look at the job sites, because you might be there all your life. But my advice to you is to continue school as long as you can, but don't be a leech. When you get done school, go back to work. Thank you. And then one time, they had a drill. It was supposed to be fake, but we didn't know that. And this airplane dropped little bags, and we thought it was going to blow up, so we shot the airplane down. And lucky the guy lived, but we weren't supposed to do that. We were supposed to know that he was one of us, but he wasn't at the time. So we got a medal instead of being balled out.
Well, Milton, on behalf of the County Board of Education, and with the power invested in me through the state of California and the Constitution of California, it is my great pleasure to award to you your high school diploma.
Oh, thank you so much.
Here you are. Congratulations.
You can come over here and hug me.
Oh my gosh, I get a hug. Oh, that made my day. This is the best part.
Hail, 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 Gonzales High School. Fight, fight, fight for victory. Big G means to fight and strive and win for our old high. As our Spartans fight for us and make victory ours. With a song, we're never wrong when we fight for our old high.
I'm Jess Joe Estrada. I was born in Castroville, California, in a barber shop. And back of the barber shop was the living quarters. And I grew up in Castroville Elementary School. I had one brother. My dad was worried that the enemy was going to come through Moss Landing, and he wanted to move us. So he moved us to Salinas from Castroville. Not very far, but the enemy never did reach Salinas. When I was in high school, I used to pass by the recruiting office, and I would talk to the recruiter, and he said, that's as far as you're going to go as far as education. The Navy will give you an education, a trade, and I don't know what else you want. When you get out, we'll give you $110 to go to any university. I sort of believed him. So I said, but what about that thing in Korea? He says, well, that's just a skirmish. And we have now General Douglas MacArthur, and he'll take care of those guys in a month. Well, that sounds good. So he was right. We couldn't afford to go to Hartnell College or any other college. And the Navy would give me that opportunity. So I signed up. I was probably 17, my mother had to sign. And I went to San Diego boot camp, and we were supposed to get so many weeks of training, and they cut us short. And they flew us in a bomber to Hawaii. And they told us not to talk to nobody. Well, I didn't know anything. We ended up in Hawaii, and they put us in a room and they said, don't talk to nobody. Then we went to Wake Island. Again, they separated us from everybody. And then from there it was a long jaunt to Yokosuka, Japan. When we got there, they took us to the dock, and I saw the biggest ship I ever saw in my life, which was the USS Antietam aircraft carrier. And nobody was walking, everybody was running. And some of the fellas said, fellas, this is not a skirmish. We're in a full-blown war. They were loading bombs, planes, everything. So they invited us aboard. And what about our schooling? Forget the schooling. You're all going to go to gunnery. So we went aboard ship, and they taught us about 50 caliber machine guns, how to load, 20 millimeter, 40 millimeter, and the 5-inch gun, how to load. I never fired any of those weapons. I was always the loader because I didn't have no rank. So we got paid $87 a month, and out of that we had to pay for our uniforms. And it wasn't enough. So on Liberty in Japan, I bought some barber tools, and I started cutting hair in the paint locker. And 25 cents to 50 cents. So that was pretty good. I was cutting the chief and even the lieutenant. They had a surprise inspection. I was caught by the executive officer of the ship, and he sent me to the cruise barber shop. I really didn't know how to cut hair. I was learning. We were in Washington State, in Bremerton, Naval Shipyard there. And I was on the ferry going to Seattle. And I was looking at the water, and I heard a voice say behind me, he says, hey, Swabby, be careful, don't fall into the water. And it was this girl. And so we started talking, and she told me she went to a prom, and she told me about her dress, and about her date. He was a real dork. He didn't know how to dance. When she danced, her feet were all over the place. She says, you know, I'm going to go to college, and you're going to a war zone, and I'll be through with college, and I'll be on my career, and you're way behind. You tell me you don't even have a diploma. She says, there's no sense you writing to me because I don't want to know anything about the war. And that stuck with me all these years, that you're way behind. It was my best day because she told me the truth. It's been 70 years that I haven't seen him. I don't remember. I went on the flight deck to get some sun. I had a little brownie camera. I had pictures of the planes that we had. The little brownie Kodak camera really worked good. This is the first jacket that was given from Salinas High School to an athlete. I was running track. They gave us this, there was I think 7 of us. They said for having good grades and the athletes. It's a pretty old jacket. The first ship that I was on was the Antietam, and that was an attack carrier, and that saw a lot of action. The Yorktown, it was almost after the war. They still had training, but they had newer jets. When I left the Navy, nobody wanted a machine gun loader, so I said, well, the only thing I knew was the cutting hair, so I became a barber, and I went to Castroville. So while I was in the barber shop, I formed back of a bar, a cosmetic lab, Estrada's pomade, and those I had the shampoo, hair fixative, the whole bit. So I tried something else, and I went into insurance for the barbers and beauticians of the state of California. The more you do, the more you learn. But I was playing golf in Hollister, and I met a doctor of chemistry, and I said, do you do tutoring? Sure, $1,800, and I'll come to your house. Good, on Saturday. So we did that. I paid him his $1,800, and he left. And in my garage, I set up a lab. After so many years, I came up with a chemical formula that could be applied to vegetables. And it wasn't disinfectant or preservative or nothing like that. It just opened up the tissue, let more water in, and that was it. They called it Jesse Juice 1. I went to work, and I started right here in Salinas, and I made my own plant on spinach, bagged spinach, on grower. It's called Fresh Pack. So I sold the plant, and this is my first patent. And now I have patent 1, 2. I sold it, number 2 I sold it to him. Then I caught up, and that girl that I met in Seattle was right. I was way behind. Oh, my kids, I have a boy and 2 daughters, so I was quite proud of them, you know. They had diploma after diploma. My son went to Davis, got a diploma. Went to Berkeley, he got a diploma, so I was, like that girl said, you're way behind. If I was talking to some students, they, no doubt they should stay in school. In Spanish, it's called ganas, desire. If you have the desire and you go to school to help you learn, you can do things, anything. It's quite a life.
Hi, I'm James Nanny. I was born in Quezon City, Philippines. I grew up, well, a lot of places, but mainly in Seaside, California. There was 8 of us. Well, I grew up in a military family. My dad's retired military. We traveled a lot, Berlin, Germany, Taiwan, Taipei, Fort Riley, Kansas. Then came back to Seaside, California. I went to school there. And my last my high school years were at Seaside High, which I didn't finish, but after that I went to Job Corps. I did a year in Job Corps. After that I went into the military and served 7 years. I was stationed at Fort Lewis, Washington, Okinawa, Japan. I served 1 year in Vietnam, and I served at Camp Roberts, California, Fort Ord, California, and after 7 years, it was time to get out. I was, let's see, 18, I believe. Basic training at Fort Lewis, Washington. It was something different. It was during the winter time. I was wet, it was cold, it was wet, it was cold. I served with medical supplies and parts, transportation. I was in a company in Okinawa. I was a supply sergeant there. I served in the reserves. As reserves, I served as head chef for the reserve unit I was with. I think one of my best days, I had a lot of them, but one of my best days is when I was in Vietnam. August of '68, I got a telegram from the Red Cross from home telling me that I was now the father of a baby girl. My daughter was born. And all my kids are my proudest days. Yeah, I had a few friends, guys I grew up with, then guys I served with over there. Something I never really talked about, and had one family member, a brother-in-law, who didn't make it back. Vietnam Service Medal, Good Conduct Medal, Expert Marksmanship. Probably some more, I can't remember. I got out in 1974. I guess it was time, that was the time when the military was, because Vietnam was scaling down, so they were looking for people to get out or put people out. And so I figured it was time to go. I did 7 years and that was enough for me. I put 24 years, federal government, military and civil service. My last job in civil service was at the Naval Postgraduate School. I worked in public works. I worked in fast foods when I was younger. Then we moved to Soledad in 1998, and I got hired on at the Soledad Unified School District. I drove bus for a while. After that, I didn't drive anymore, and I was off and on the supervisor for the maintenance department, and also I worked for Deneen Gus. When I got my GED in Fort Lewis, Washington at Madigan General Hospital, which was my last duty station, we were told back then that once you completed your GED and passed, those results would be sent to the high school that you attended, and a diploma would be sent to you. Well, 30 years later, it never happened. So, but when I saw this in the paper, I read about this in the paper, and I said, you know what, it's about time. So that's when I contacted you folks. I feel good. I feel I accomplished something that I've should accomplish years ago, and plus it makes my kids, when I told them about it, they were all excited, and so they said, right, they say, go ahead, good going. I'm most proud of just getting through everything I had to get through in life and get to retirement, and now we're raising our grandson now who's autistic, and he's been with us since day one, and so that's what I'm proud of. Yeah, I live in Soledad. We moved there in 1998 after we sold our home in Seaside, and I've been there ever since. My parents both passed away. My mom was last, she passed away 4 years ago. I got 3 kids. They all live in the South, 2 in Georgia and 1 in Kentucky. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 grandchildren. That's, and then I got brothers. Most of my family lives here in the peninsula. I got 1, 2, 3, 4 brothers, 1 in Seaside, 3 in Monterey. I got an older sister who lives in Marina, California. Military family also. Her husband's a retired Marine. And I got a sister who lives in Wisconsin. So, and most of my family from the Philippines, most of them have passed away years ago. I would tell them, a lot of them think that a high school diploma, I hear it because, like I said, I retired from that school district up in Soledad, and I talked to a lot of kids there, and they think that, some, not all, but some think that, having a high school diploma is not enough anymore. But you know what? I would tell them that that's the first step. You get that, then you move on.
Delbert Samuel Wormuth Jr.
I'm his daughter, Connie.
Getting huckleberry down off in the county there.
One of the things he has fond memories of is they used, as boys, pick huckleberries, and a neighbor would bake pies for him. But he was also very involved in sports, and he used to deliver the Monterey Peninsula Herald as a young boy, all through Carmel, and he did that for about 4 years. You did a lot of fishing and hunting as a boy, too.
Yeah. What happened is I was playing catch with two guys there by the football field, and when we finished, I tried to figure out what the hell I'm going to do. And what happened was I went to San Francisco and joined the Marine Corps. I was 16 when I became a Marine in San Francisco. And the reason for that is my cousin, his picture's on the wall, and he had fought the South Pacific as a Marine, and he was living at the time up in Morgan Hill. You do exactly what they tell you to do, so I'm not going to tell you what it was. Women Marines. First time I ever saw women Marines. We didn't get to talk to them or anything, or couldn't sneak a good look. I did not have a bad day. There's nothing you can't do to become a Marine. And they even nowadays have females. You want to stay alive. And the only people that can do that is Marines, because they're all trained exactly the same. There were a few that never made it home.
There were a few from the Monterey area, but not necessarily Carmel. And then there were a lot from his battalion, which are memorialized on the rock out front. Discharged from the Korea conflict on January of 1952. And the reason for that was that he was severely wounded in Korea. So he spent 4 months in a hospital in Japan, and then he came home on a medical ship that brought him home. PUC with Star. He got the Expert Rifleman, the America Theater Korean Service Ribbon, United Nations Ribbon, World War II Victory Ribbon, and then of course his Purple Heart.
Sergeant, Carmel PD, 25 years, Carmel. This is me here, and this is one of the advisors there in Carmel, and there's the chief in Carmel. Okay, that's my daughter. That's my wife. Hell of a lot better looking than most of these cops, but it's just a young Korean boy, and so I know all kids like to eat candy, so I gave them a candy bar. You look at these pictures up here, and a lot of them are Carmel boys. It's a helicopter, and they brought me in. I had my rifle and everything, and they had the helicopter there to bring me in. I just got it real heavy right on the neck area there.
His platoon sergeant had stepped on what they referred to as a bouncing Betsy mine, went up in the air and exploded, and a piece of shrapnel cut him from the right earlobe all the way down to the left breast and opened it up and got part of the jugular vein and the main artery in his neck. And what saved him was that he didn't panic, which is amazing to me for someone that was, at the time, I think 22 years old or something like that, to have the ability to stay calm. And he used his hands to clamp it off, and he was throwing pebbles at a medic that had been in the area, and they were able to get him on this helicopter and transport him out to a MASH unit, where they actually did the surgery at the MASH unit, and then they were able to transport him from there to Japan for his stay there.
So this high school diploma is hereby conferred upon you, Delbert Samuel Wormuth Jr., and we are so very proud of you. So this is for you, your high school diploma.
Turn
Delbert
that over there.
is now officially a graduate, so he has moved his tassel from the right to the left. Yay!
Hi, I'm Francis Rubel. Well, I was born in Gonzales, California. I went to Gonzales High School. I had 8 in the family, 5 brothers and 3 sisters. When I grew up, I really didn't know. I wanted to be a truck driver, tractor driver, whatever. My other 3 brothers were in the service. They were older than I was, and I was the baby, and I was the 4th one, so I figured let them go, so I went myself with them. Made 4 of us in the service. First day in the Navy, I was real sad. I was away from home, didn't know nobody, and I was just lonesome. In Farragut, Idaho, well, the service was good. I was mostly overseas all the time on an aircraft carrier, Coral Sea. We got the first name was the Coral Sea. Then they changed the name to give it to a bigger ship, bigger carrier, and they gave us another name, which was Anzio, USS Anzio. There was good days and bad days. Worst day, when I was aboard the carrier and had general quarters, and they found general quarters, they put me down in the buildings on the bottom, and I was part of the engineers. And I had to go down the engine room, they lock you all up down there and you stay there. If you get hit, you're bye-bye baby. I got 9 major medals in combat duty with different ships, different islands, taking them back, and then we get a medal for the help, put the planes in and stuff. Went home, started working, making money for my folks, my mother, anything I could find. Driving tractor, driving truck, ranch work, hauling hay, whatever. It means a lot. It means a lot to my family. I get too emotional. My family. My family. Ricky's the oldest. Terry and Tina and Gary. I got a lot of them. It's nice grandkids. I'll tell them to graduate from school, get out of school, graduate, get your diploma, and better yourself.
Mr. Rubel, I'm Dr. Deneen Gus, County Superintendent of Schools, and I'm here today to award you your high school diploma and to give you your regalia that all graduates wear. We've got a cap and gown for you. I may have interrupted my high school pathway all those years ago to go serve my country, but I finished, I completed, I'm a graduate. That is what we hope you will say each and every day. We're so thankful that you have served our great nation on the behalf of all here and on the behalf of all citizens across our nation. We are so proud of you, and we are so honored to be able to give you your high school diploma. Are you ready to put on your cap and gown? I have it all right here for you. Well, again, I want to say a few words to you again, and I want to say a few words to all of your great fan club that's here to help honor and celebrate you as well. Our Veterans Diploma Project is a project that we launched prior to the beginning of the pandemic. And it was our goal to actually take each and every veteran that served in World War II, the Vietnam War, the Korean War, or any of our Japanese Americans who were interned during the war, to host a big, fancy graduation for all of our veterans who, again, served our nation so gallantly, so bravely all those years ago. And unfortunately, because of the pandemic, we weren't able to do the huge graduation. So instead, what we're doing is we're coming out to each graduate, just like I'm here today, and we are bringing your high school diploma to you, and we are bringing congratulatory messages from all of the county board members at the County Board of Education. They changed our graduation policy just so that we could recognize all of our veterans who had their high school pathway interrupted all those years ago. So they did this for you because, again, we're just so proud of you, and we're so honored that you sacrificed so much for all of us. And so it's my great honor today as County Superintendent of Schools to present to you your high school diploma. So let me open it up. There we go. Francis John Rubel. You are now a graduate. By the power invested in me in the Constitution of the State of California, I now declare you a graduate, and you can move your tassel from the right to the left to signify that you have now completed your high school course of study and you are a graduate. So let me put this in your hand.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Let's give them a huge round of applause. And you know what? I think that military service on your resume is worth every credit any school can ever give. And you know, you not only are getting your high school diploma that signifies you've completed, you're a graduate, you're getting it from the highest office in education in our county, from the County Office of Education. But days like this, I will sign up for this super tough job 1,000,000 times over, because there is no better part of my job than to be able to be here and bring you your high school diploma and to just thank you on behalf of, like I said, our entire nation for your great service. And the entire educational community, you know how much this means to us that you so desired your high school diploma? It means the world. You're sending a message to every young person in our county and across the state that education's important, you never give up on it, you set your goals, and you always continue to work toward those goals until they come true. And your goal of getting your high school diploma has now come true.
Thank you.
I'm honored to join in paying tribute to the thousands of young men who served in our military in World War II, in Korea, in Vietnam, who weren't able to complete their high school education. And today, thanks to the work of so many good community people, we are able to provide diplomas to those who served our country. As Secretary of Defense, I can't tell you how honored I was to be able to meet with those in uniform who were fighting and dying for our country. It is the ultimate sacrifice for our nation. And our democracy would not be as strong as it is were it not for their sacrifice and for their service. We thank them, America thanks you, and our community thanks you for giving back to our country.